Welcome back to From Root to Crown with Rebe. Today we are going to be talking about the importance of rest and this little experiment that I've been doing for the last couple of months around intentional resting. So, the idea for this intentional resting experiment is one, learning more about my particular energy type through the lens of human design. If you listened to that episode last season, then you'll know that I am what's called a manifester, and I don't have consistent energy. I feel that in my life. I know that to be true. So something like 60% of the population has this sacral energy when you look at their human design chart. So they have access to a refreshed daily amount of energy, and they can expect to consistently have that level of energy and access to that energy. Manifestors, on the other hand, don't have that part of our energy defined. We have undefined sacrals, so we don't have that energy that gets things done every day, that energy to continue to do things, to have consistency in our routines and in what we do. So in learning about my energy type and feeling into how true I feel that is for me and how I experience the world and my energy levels, I wanted to really honor the amount of rest that I need. I've always known that I need more sleep than my husband does, than a lot of people in my life do. I was the girl in college who could not pull an all-nighter. There was no benefit to me staying up past midnight. I was not going to do my best work. So I would go to bed at midnight, wake up at 6 a.m., and get more studying done first thing in the morning because I knew I had to protect at least 6 hours of sleep. Is anything less than that, and I am not going to produce quality work on the backside of it. So I have always known that I have a minimum amount of sleep that I need, and I am pretty ferocious about protecting that. It's a big part of the reason why I don't drink much anymore at all, is it impacts my sleep. And I know that I can only show up as my true, most aligned, highest version of myself if I am more than adequately rested. So, in knowing these things about myself and coming out of a season where I was giving more than I had to give, and there are seasons in life where that's unavoidable, whether you're caretaking, taking care of your children, or a caretaker for an aging parent, or both. If you're a lucky part of the sandwich generation like I am, there are times that demand more energy than you have to give. But then if you don't come back to at least neutral or swing the pendulum the other way to rest, then your body's going to do it for you eventually. This is where we hit burnout. This is where we hit sending flaming emails to your boss and quitting in fiery fashion. If we don't take care of ourselves and our own energy and our need for rest, then our bodies will force the situation. Over the last year, I have really worked on being proactive with my health and trying to resolve some decades-long, lifelong issues that I have had with my health. And coming out of this season of intense caregiving, I knew that I needed to be proactive with rest. So about 3 months ago, I started actually tracking it in my planner to go and rest, where every day I was laying down, eyes closed, not laying down and scrolling on Instagram, not laying down and listening to a podcast, no multitasking. My only point for those 20 minutes was to rest. I put on a 20-minute playlist that I created. And for those 20 minutes, all I was doing was laying in a quiet room with my eyes closed, giving my energy and my body a chance to rest. Now, over the last couple of weeks, I haven't been as consistent with this, and I am noticing negative impacts in my energy. So part of recording this episode is rededicating myself to continuing this active rest. And what I have found is that even if I don't sleep, if it's just closing my eyes for 20 minutes, it's a reset for my energy so that I can be more productive in the afternoon. I like doing it just before my kids get home so that I have made a little bit of a break between my working hours and my helping with homework and taking care of, family time. So it gives me a moment of transition here. And what I think you will find is even when there is so much to do on the to-do list, one, maybe not everything needs to get done. Maybe some things can slide. Maybe you can change the quality expectations of how much you're going to do, or again, at what quality. Does everything really require perfection, or can good enough be good enough, which is a whole different podcast episode. But by taking the time to rest, I have the energy to actually do those things in a more efficient fashion, so that I have the mental capacity and the energetic space to focus on my work and get more done in a shorter period of time than if I was not resting and dragging myself through my days. I think trusting that there is space for rest also speaks to scarcity mindset and fighting against that. A lot of times, I think we can get trapped in this feeling of, I have to do more to earn my worthiness. I have to do more to earn my rest. I have to do more to survive because other people are expecting it, and your needs aren't factored into that pace. Your needs aren't factored into those expectations. The belief that productivity is your ticket to rest is something that I want us to consider rejecting as a culture, as a mini culture within the larger culture here in the United States, but that it is a right to have adequate rest, and it's not something that you have to earn, and that the rest can come before the productivity. I would argue that rest coming before productivity means greater productivity, means better productivity, means more efficiency. I want you to consider starting your own rest experiment. I work for myself. I work from home. I can just go and lay down for 20 minutes whenever I have the free time. You may not have that amount of flexibility in your schedule. So how can you protect rest within your schedule? If I were younger me, who had a corporate job, same as my husband, we both had really terrible commutes. We lived in Chicago. Anybody who's ever driven in Chicago knows what I'm talking about. And our kids were little when we were living there. So high demands. What I would have looked for is a way to either carve out some time for rest for myself at lunch, whether that was going down to like the mother's room or the nursing room and closing my eyes for 10 minutes, assuming that a breast pumping mother didn't need it. Obviously, they get priority. Uh, Taking a quick car nap, closing my eyes in the car, going to the gym and finding a quiet corner in the yoga room or something if there wasn't a class going on, closing my eyes there, or even just when getting home. The kids were in daycare on campus with me, so I had all the drop off and pickup duties. So sometimes I would just take my book or take a moment when going to the daycare center. I would sit in the parking lot for 5, 10 minutes. I had left work, but I needed time to recenter myself before going in and picking up my kids. Then, if that didn't work, getting home with the kids, handing them off then to my husband and saying, I need 10, 15 minutes to recenter myself before I can engage with dinner and all of those types of things. But working with my partner to try and find times to support my need for rest. Sometimes it might look like trading off the early mornings and who's going to get up with the kids or who's going to do what. Active rest can look like just giving yourself a moment without your phone in your hand and going outside, even if it was just to walk to the end of the parking lot and back. If you have 5, 10 minutes between calls that you could step outside, get some fresh air. Those are all things that are going to be restorative, where you're not looking at screens, where you're not being asked to do anything, where there's no requirements on your energy besides your own and replenishing that energy. So take a look in your schedule and see if there are ways that you can incorporate a little bit more rest. I would also highly encourage you to put a timer, a time limit on your scrolling on social media apps. That has been really eye-opening for me. I gave myself what I thought was a crazy length of time of an hour and a half for social media, and I hit it mid-afternoon just about every day. It's part of my job, part of what my business here, what I do, but I enjoy social media. So your girl likes to scroll and see what everybody is up to. But that is time that I could be resting. That is time that I could be using towards my goals, towards that productivity that I need to get done. So put a timer, time limit on your social media or any games that you might play on your phone. I like those too. I'm a human, friends. I play video games with my kids and my husband on the PlayStation. I like the stupid little mindless games on my phone. I like to scroll TikTok. I love my algorithm over there. What can I say? But these are all things that are mindless, but take energy from me instead of giving energy back to me. So being mindful with your consumption and areas where you are expending energy that could be going towards a little bit of rest. I'm not saying cut it out totally, but you can find more time in your schedule than you think is available to you if you get really serious with yourself about where you're spending your time looking at your phone or a computer, what have you. And then take a look at your bedtime and wake time and try to get that as consistent as possible and increase it if you can. Whenever you can. There's this thing called doom scrolling. I'm sure you've heard of it, but what it actually is this rebellion that we feel, this energetic pushback of, I have felt out of control all day, and I know I should go to bed, but having to go to bed right now, having my energy low right now also feels like I'm out of control. So I'm going to take that control back by continuing to scroll. And you get into this vicious cycle, right? The longer you scroll, the less sleep you're going to get, the more it impacts your sleep because you've been feeding blue light directly into your eyeballs, messing with your circadian rhythm. It snowballs and impacts your ability to rest than when you actually take a step back and try to rest. So your homework here is to take a hard look at your rest needs, given the season of life that you're in and your ability to do so, recognizing that there are seasons where less rest is going to be possible. But if you're in a season where you can carve out a little bit more rest and the things that you are filling your time with are at your discretion more than you might initially think, I would encourage you to try to put some guardrails in for yourself on how much time you're on social media and your bedtime, setting an alarm to go to bed. And going to bed before you're tired will allow you to not hit a reactive cortisol spike when you stay up too late. So what happens when we ignore our body's signals of being tired or where we miss this window? And anybody who's had kids knows that overtired is a real thing, and you will do anything in your power to avoid an overtired child. But we get that way as adults too. So what happens is your body sends signals that say it's time to go to bed. You need rest. And you crawl into bed, but pick your phone back up and scroll. Your body says, okay, I needed rest. I'm not getting rest. There must be a really good reason why I'm not getting rest, why it's not safe for me to sleep right now. And we'll dump adrenaline, we'll dump, the hormones into your system to give you that second wind, to give you that energy that you need to deal with whatever it is that's keeping you from resting right now. And whether it's a 2-year-old or a 45-year-old, our bodies react the same way. Our bodies don't know that we're just staying up because the next episode on Netflix looks like a really great idea, and that Netflix makes it so easy to just roll right to the next episode. Our bodies don't know that. So if you miss the window where you're tired but not exhausted, then you get into the second wind, and that makes it even harder. So you've stayed up too late. Now you really need to sleep, but your body has all of these hormones dumped into it to keep it from sleeping, because obviously it must not be safe to become unconscious and not be aware of your external settings. Remember, our biology is millions of years old. We were built to deal with bears and lions and real threats that would require us to stay up even though we're sleepy. And so your body reacts the same way to your Netflix binge or your doom scrolling as it would an actual threat, which fuels the insomnia, which fuels your inability to get the rest that you need, and the cycle perpetuates itself. So figure out how much rest you need. Be religious about getting as much of that as you need for 1 month. And this is like the most beautiful month to do that. We are here in October. We're settling in. It's getting darker. More of our day is dark. Things are getting cozy. This is that time to go inside, to slow down. We've got the holidays coming up ahead of us. If you were to take the next month between now and Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving's right at the end, so we honestly have about 6 weeks between now and Thanksgiving. But if you were to take just a month and every day add 20 minutes of rest, either going to bed 20 minutes earlier or finding 20 minutes in the middle of your day to add a little bit of rest, I would bet that you would feel more capable of handling the holiday season. You would feel more centered, more aligned with who you want to be in your interactions with family. Things that would trigger you before won't be such a trigger. I would bet that you would find at least one, if not all of those things, to be completely true, categorically true. If you joined me in this rest experiment for the next 30 days. So I am going to, like I said, recommit here to resting 20 minutes every day. Follow me on Instagram. I will be posting in my stories every day proof that I am resting so that you can keep me honest and so that I can remind you gently and with love that rest is something you're entitled to. It's not something you have to earn. And that by resting, you are going to be able to achieve more in alignment, staying in alignment with who you truly want to be. All right, friends, I'm going to get off of my soapbox about rest. Thank you for joining me on this episode of From Root to Crown with Rebe. I hope today's exploration of rest has offered you valuable insights and a deeper connection to your own journey. Remember, you are your own medicine, your own teacher. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. I look forward to continuing this journey with you in our next episode. Until then, be gentle with yourself and stay connected to the wisdom within.